Hey everybody, good morning. Here we go. Day 142 of this craziness and spiritual healthcare. So welcome to everybody. It's good to see you all this morning. I hope you guys are having good weather. It has been really crazy windy here in Edmonton, at least. Edmonton and BC have gotten hit with, or Alberta and BC I should say, have been hit with like just crazy winds the last little while. So I hope you guys are having a better weather system than we are down there, because I know most of you guys are American that tune in. So welcome everybody. Welcome. It's another spiritual healthcare morning, and lots to talk about. Really great questions this morning, and I'm stoked. So good morning to Dan and Marge and everybody. Nice to see you all coming in. I hope you guys have had a really good weekend. As you can see, my hair is a different color again. Go figure. That's just what happens. That's what happens when you leave me alone with bleach, I think is kind of what goes on. And Marge says it looks beautiful. Thank you. I'm actually really happy with it. I'm this coming weekend, I'm filming a new fire video for a song called Bad News Lovers, and I'm excited about that. It's gonna be really cool. So I had to do something with my hair because the dark didn't work for like this character that I'm playing. So good morning to Ed. Nice to see you everybody. It is good to see everyone. As always, I got some great topics today, like really cool. Two questions that I thought were brilliant came in. One being about vision, and about how do we get, as investigators and with the Teaching the Living program, how is it that I get families on the same page? Because I think with Easter coming up and whatever, people are thinking about having Easter dinner with the family and whatever, and they're going like, I can't even get my family on the same page at the dinner table. How the hell do you do it as a when you're dealing with a haunting? So we're going to talk about that, and I'm going to give you guys some tools, a little bit of insight and some tools that I think will translate into your lives and everyday life for you, just going forward, because we're going to talk about vision and goals and all sorts of things. I had someone write in and ask, what was my first case? Because that was a long time ago. that was a long time ago. That was like 20 years ago. But what was my first case? And we'll go into that too. So as tons of stuff to cover today. All your questions, as you guys know, are always welcome. Email them, send them in, post them in the chat. I can actually see your comments today, which is thanks, Facebook. Thanks for that. That helps. Post them, whatever, and we'll get to them on another show. We'll just get to them on another show. So as I say, tons to go through. So I thought that I would start by tackling the vision side of this question, because I think this is brilliant. And as I say, as you guys go along through life, I think you guys will be able to use some of these tools. One thing I should mention, the new EntitySeeker.ca. I hope you guys have had time to explore it. I'm really happy with how it came out. Everybody seems to be writing back good reviews. And whatever. There is a newsletter. There's a newsletter on the bottom of the page that you guys can sign up for. It's going to be a brand new thing. It's a brand new newsletter, and I'm going to be sending out stuff with like new information and spiritual healthcare stuff and all sorts of craziness. So if you guys want to be a part of that and get the newsletter, go to EntitySeeker.ca. There's a little subscribe thing at the bottom of the page. It's like on every page. It's in the footer. And you guys can sign up for the newsletter, because it's going to be really cool, and it's just another way to like keep in touch and all of that, which I'm stoked about, and it's really cool. So let's dig into this. Let's dig into this a little bit, because the question that came in was, how do you get families on the same page? I can't even get my family on the same page around the dinner table. How do you do it around paranormal activity when there are different beliefs in the mix? really, really big question, because we all know what it's like, especially when it comes to politics, or, you know, you broach religion, you broach all of these different subjects, and it can be really, really, really tough, especially when you're dealing with family under the same roof, right? So I'm going to break this down and let you guys sort of marinate in this a little bit, because I think there's some stuff that you will be able to take away from this. So the first thing that I always get to these families to identify when they're experiencing some sort of a negative haunting, something that they're struggling with, what they've got going on, the first thing I always get them to do is tell me your vision for the family. What is your vision for the family? I'm not talking about your goals for the family, okay? I'm not talking about your goals. Goals are different. And the difference between the vision and the goal is that the vision is always something that is going to be huge. It might not be something you think is attainable right now. It's going to be something that's way above what you're doing and the means that you have. It's usually something like just huge. And you can have different visions in different areas of your experience. A goal is something that you do. It's an action step that you're doing with the means that you have right now. So a vision is something that's coming from here. It's coming from here. You're projecting this in a huge way. You can play it out in your head. A vision is a state of being. Okay. A vision is going to call you forward. A vision is something that is always going to be something that you tune into to decide what your next steps are going to be. I always credit having very, very, very clear visions throughout my whole life, and that's really what has got me to where I am right now with a lot of this stuff, because I've had tons of offers from different places. I could have gone one way, I could have gone another way. I don't know if I've ever said this before, but like way back in the early days of paranormal television, when Discovery Network was trying to come up with ideas and whatever, they were tossing between me and Josh Gates for the whatever it's called, his show anyway, Expedition Unknown or whatever it is. So we were going back and forth, and the question that I asked them, or that they asked me, was that, were you willing to work with mediums? And I said I was definitely willing to work with mediums, but I'm not willing to fake evidence. I'm not willing to fake what's going on TV. And they went with Josh Gates because I think they were still on the fence about that. But it made the decision very clear for me, because I figured, I'm like, okay, if that's what's going on, then, you know, that's not what I'm building, right? I had the vision. It was very clear to me, and I knew it guides me as to what to turn down and what opportunities to take, because lots will come down the pipe. And it's really easy when you've got a family who, you know, if that family doesn't have a vision, then you've got a problem. You've got people that are either pulled one way or pulled another way, and it's very easy for them to get off track. So there's a bunch of factors as to why that's so important. As I was saying, goals are a little different. When I'm sitting down with a family and dealing with goals, it's a matter of, okay, what is the next step to get to the vision that you can do right now? What can you do right now in this moment, today, this minute, to move yourself into that next phase of the vision that you want? And it's probably something that seems extremely minuscule compared to the vision that you have, because if you are not like looking at your vision and terrified, then your vision is too small. It's too small. You should be going, how the hell am I going to do this? Because vision should be big. It should be something that pulls you up. That's the way it should be. So goals are very external, with vision are very internal. And when a family is able to turn around and define the vision begins to create the goals. Okay, so when they understand what the vision is, the goals start to light up. And when you start to put action into whatever you've got going on in your head, the universe starts to light up these little, almost like these little stone pathways, and stuff starts showing up. And this is where it gets really cool, is that stuff starts showing up that you didn't have access to before. And, you know, somebody might call you, somebody might email you, you might notice something on Facebook, like an opportunity, something will show up and start lighting these pathways up. And the same goes with the families that I deal with in these investigations, where they might be looking at this going, you know what, this is a great big mess. I don't know what to do next. And then all of a sudden, one of the kids is like, oh, hey, we could do this, or hey, I just learned this in school, or hey, this happened, or whatever. And stuff starts to light up, but you have to have the vision, and you have to then turn around and start putting those action steps into place, or else it just won't move. Probably one of the most common things that I'll hear is the excuse of I'm stuck, and that's really, really common. I hear that all the time. I'm stuck. And honestly, the idea of being stuck is kind of a hustle, because we don't have to be stuck. Stuck is a choice. We can make decisions. We get to choose, and we get to pick these things along the way. And so we have to let go of the mindset, because it is a mindset, that we're simply stuck and we can't move. It negates the opportunities, and it negates the things that are going on around us, so that we can turn around and say, well, I'm stuck. It's just not going to work. So we have to be really conscious of that. So, as we kind of like move through a case like this, oftentimes tools are really helpful. So things like vision boards, things like, all sorts of different tools that we've talked about on spiritual healthcare before. Vision boards are great. But here's the clincher with vision boards for clients and families, and for you guys too, is that what tends to happen is that people will get their vision board, and they start cutting out all these like pretty pictures, and they start cutting out, bits and pieces from magazines, and they start doing this. And then they put them all on the board, except they're expecting the vision board to do the creating, to fill in the picture. And that's not how it works. Vision boards, the vision comes from you. The vision comes from here and here. So if you are picking pictures to match what's going on within the vision, like within your vision, in order to build that vision board. Don't expect the board to do the work for you, because it's not going to do that. If you can't see it and taste it and touch it and hold it in your mind to that quality, the vision board is not going to help you. So I think sometimes people like they cut out like all these little like bits and pieces and pictures, and they glue them all together, and it's very pretty. But at the end of the day, if a vision is not bits and pieces. A vision is broad and vast, and it might not necessarily be complete, but the details fill in, but you can see it. And so I think that's where it kind of falls down a little bit. So like some of the excuses, as I say, things like, I'm stuck, I can't afford it, I'm just not in the place to be able to do it, I don't have the means. That's another one. There's a whole bunch of them. My friend John Taffer has got a fantastic book out called Don't Bullshit Yourself. And it's a great book. Like, it's got a hilarious title, but it's a fantastic book. And he covers the top, I think it's the top 5 excuses, and it's brilliant, that people use. But there's always resources. And, usually when I say that, immediately people go, well, you've got like, there's like 3 TV shows and, a magazine, you've got all of this stuff. Everybody's got to remember, I did not start there. I started homeless. Okay. I started homeless. I built EntitySeeker. I didn't even have a roof over my head. So it's like, believe me, when I say, if you've got, the issues of I can't afford it, I can't do this, I can't do that. If you have a roof over your head right now, you have one more thing than I did. So there you go. So it's, I really, really talk from a place of experience with this stuff. And any of those excuses, it's your ego's hustle to try to stop you from moving forward. Linda is saying, sorry, it sounds like a vision board would be a great class to do with a bunch of people. Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes when you get people together, it can be really fueling, as long as you've got people. Here's the kicker with that. You have to have people who are not a naysayer, because sometimes a lot of people will keep their vision boards like to themselves, because as soon as somebody comes in with any sort of judgment about it, they quit. They're like, oh no, like it can't happen. So it depends on the people, I think, that you get together for that. It can be a really great thing if you've got a group of people that are like idea makers. That's the one thing I love about the people that I hang out with, is that they're all idea makers. They're dream builders. I think like having that community, and it's one of the power 9 of the blue zones that we've talked about before, the happiest places in the world, is having that group of people around you that are dream builders, in order to do that. But it's sometimes, if you end up sharing the vision with the wrong people, you'll end up in a bit of a mess, because you've always got those people out there that are either jealous of the vision. There's a lot of those. Trust me, there's a lot of those, and the further you go, the more you're going to run into them. That you get the people that are jealous of the vision, or see your visions begin to happen and start to really dislike you for it. Big factors, big problems. And as I say, the further you go, the more successful you get, the worse it gets. Trust me. People that you always thought that were on your wagon or whatever start to hate your guts. And it's interesting. I was reading an article actually the other day about domestic violence, and I thought this was really interesting. They discovered that oftentimes if you have a situation where there's domestic violence and the woman is the breadwinner, oftentimes that's when the conflict starts, because in some men's heads, people that are not progressive people, they see that as a challenge, and they start emotionally abusing, physically abusing, whatever it is, the woman, because they are making more money, or they're doing what they want, and or they're living out a dream or whatever, and the guy is not. I thought it was a really interesting article, and I had not considered that before, but it was intriguing. So something to be aware of, like, just, if you're sharing your vision, make sure it's with the right people. And as soon as you find the people that are the naysayers, stop the conversation. Conversation ends. As soon as you've got the people that are the naysayers that are saying, your vision is stupid, that's too big, you can't do that, whatever, conversation stops. You know right there, you don't share anymore with that person. You just don't. Because that person's they're gonna kill your dream before it gets off the ground. So be really aware of that. So anyway, I thought I'd share those tips with you. So if you go to do a vision board over the long weekend, because now we have time over the Easter weekend, it's something that you can do with the family. But as I say, keep in mind, the vision comes from here and here. It doesn't come from the pictures that you're cutting out. So build the vision, then do the vision board. I think you guys will have fun with that. So the next question that I had, which I thought was so much fun, because I have not thought about this for a very long time, was, what was your very first case? What was my very first case? That was a long time ago. So I had some experimental cases that sort of came to me over the years before I had EntitySeeker, first of all. So I had a lot of instances where I was helping people out, or offering some advice or doing some investigations kind of just by myself, before stuff actually started to creep into being paranormal research. But so probably I would say my first actual case was we were actually, Stephanie and I were joined with a sort of a paranormal group at the time, and we got the call to investigate a house that is still standing. It's in Fort Edmonton Park, called the Firkins House, and we got invited by the Edmonton Journal and Fort Edmonton to come out and take a look at the Firkins House, because they had never had anybody out before. This was relatively new in Edmonton. We were kind of on the pioneering cusp of paranormal research at the time. Like, this really wasn't heard of at this point. I think the only ghost show on TV was Most Haunted, and that was in the UK, and it had just started coming over to Canada. So it was a very, very early days of this. Like this was 2000, and it would have been 2002. Yeah, it would have been 2002. So I'd say this was a while ago. And we ended up investigating the Firkins house on 2 occasions. The one was was with Edmonton Journal, and the second was with CBC's show Nerve. And Stephanie and I were featured because they noticed that we were 2 young people that were kind of these entrepreneurs in this really obscure field, and they wanted to do a documentary on it. So we ended up investigating this place. So the Firkins house is this little old historical house. It was built, I think it was early 1900s, late 1800s. Really, really cool little place, like the quintessential creepy haunted house, especially in the dark. Like, it had this sort of low overhanging porch. It was really creepy. Like, all the shadows in the right places. Like, it was bizarre. And the staff was quite afraid of it. They didn't want to lock up at night. They didn't want to be in there by themselves. There's a number of occasions where they had been touched. They'd heard footsteps running through the house, chairs and things all moving around by themselves. And there was a little doll that was so creepy. I ended up on the front page of the Edmonton Journal with this doll. And it would move from place to place. Like, they would always say it would move from place to place. So anyway, so we come into the Firkins house, and we ended up setting up all our gear. We had a security camera system that we spread out all over the upstairs. So we had eyes and ears upstairs. And I remember the photographer that was with the Journal didn't believe a damn thing that we were doing. He was there to cover the story, and that was it. Like, he thought we were all crazy. And he ended up catching a photo. Of me with this, and I'll post this on the EntitySeeker Facebook page so you guys can see it. I should have thought of this before, but he ended up catching a photo of me with this doll and this really weird, what looked like a light leak coming into the photo. And it was this great big, like, purple light leak, and which is what I thought it was at first. And he looked at the photo and went white as a ghost, and he looked like he saw a damn ghost, and he was like, there should be no light leak in this photo. And it's like, well, what do you mean? He said, there's no explanation for this. There should be no light leak. Anyway, so the photo ended up on the front page of the Edmonton Journal because it blew his mind. It blew his mind. So when we were there with CBC Nerve, we had the same layout. We put the equipment in the same places. And what was so interesting was that from the upstairs, we were sitting down in the main den, and we could hear furniture moving all over the upper floor. And so the floors were all wood. There was no carpet. There was nothing. It was all wood. And you could hear these huge old pieces of furniture, like, moving across the floor. And again, we had 2 producers there. One who was really on board with what was going on. The other who had no bloody idea what was happening, and just didn't care and was a complete skeptic. Anyway, by the time he was done, he would not come in the house anymore. He would not come in the house. It was so funny. And so as they were all sitting outside and whatever, we finally got the camera footage back. And what was so interesting, and this was my first real run-in with electromagnetics, the cameras came back with like basically lines in the footage over and over. And I didn't know what that was, and I had to do my research and discovered it was electromagnetic disturbance. And so the cameras we had all these lines going through it because of the magnetic field, and would blur out. So we caught no footage because of that. But there was no reason for this electromagnetic disturbance. So that was really interesting. But we all sat in the den and we were listening to these furniture getting dragged across the upper floor, and the footsteps upstairs, all these footsteps upstairs. So it was really interesting. The rest of the evening, we had some neat phenomenon happen. And this is some of the best things that go on with these investigations. There was a dividing wall between the den and the kitchen. So you had the kitchen here, the den here, dividing wall. And the funny part is that we would be in the kitchen and we'd hear knock, 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 knock from the den side. So we'd come around, and as soon as we would get there, we'd hear knock, 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 knock from the kitchen side. So we'd come around. And so this went on for oh God, I don't know, a good half hour. Just this back and forth and us just playing, like just having fun and playing with the energies that were there. It was really, really, really cool. Definitely haunted, definitely a blast. And but it was so playful, it was so much fun. And to end the evening, probably one of the most it's still probably one of the most infuriating things I think I've ever had happen. We were packing up, and right near the front door there was a little table with an old replica of the tin can phones. For those of you guys who don't know or remember the tin can phones, it was like 2 tin cans attached by a string, and the kids would like pretend they were phones. So they had 2 tin can phones, and it was really good. Sorry, I just have a quick message here. There we go. Sorry about that. So anyway, these 2 tin can phones end up as we're chatting back and forth, and I said, you know what? I said, you know what would be a pain in the butt is if we packed up all our camera gear and we ended up seeing something in the house just move. Like we everything's packed up and we move, and we laughed, and and as we laughed, these 2 damn tin cans ended up flying from that corner table by the door about 3 feet across the room and landed on the floor. All our camera gear was packed up. So, like, it's just, I don't know. So there it is. there it is. So I don't know. But it's fun stuff like that, right? That ends up happening. And, that was our first case, Firkin's house. It was it was a blast. Firkin's house was a blast, and you can find it online if you guys want to check it out. But I will post that photo so you guys can see this, whatever, because it was an absolute riot. So it was a good time. But anyway, I found, speaking of families and stuff like that, I found a really, really, really great passage from Faith in the Valley today. Faith in the Valley. That is pretty cool, that I thought was kind of relevant and that I thought would be useful for everybody, especially if you're having family gatherings and whatever this weekend. I thought I would offer you this. So check this out. There are some people who come into your life with warning stamped right in the middle of their forehead. Their actions totally contradict their story. Their story sounds a little strange. You might not know what it is, but you know something isn't quite right. What do? Trust yourself. Trust yourself. It is not necessary to have every tidbit of information or to know every gory detail about a person, because your instincts are usually correct. People show you who they are by what they do. If it doesn't feel right, they are probably not. We want to help everybody. Those we can't help, we want to save from themselves. To accomplish this, we'll often ignore our natural self-protective instincts and buy into a sad story. Yes, we want to give everyone the benefit of the doubt, but we also want to learn to trust ourselves. Learn to trust your inner voice and what it's telling you. If the person is real, you will find out. Until then, we must stop bandaging bleeding hearts. Otherwise, we will continue nursing our own grieving hearts. Awesome passage. Awesome, awesome, awesome. And yeah, I always liked what Dr. Phil McGraw had said about the benefit of the doubt. He always said, never give people the benefit of the doubt, just collect data. Collect data. Build up a database on people. Just look at their behavior. Don't judge it. You don't have to judge it, but you can build up data. And because when you build up data is you know, it's just facts, right? It's just facts. It's not, you don't have to put heat or judgment on it. It just is what it is. But when you start to build up facts and you can look at them objectively and take the emotion out of it, you can usually get a pretty clear picture about people. And it doesn't, as I say, it doesn't take judgment. It just is, you know, it just is what it is. If somebody is like, you know, consistently late 10 times, it doesn't respect your time, you can get really pissed off and mad about it. Or you can turn around and look at it and go, you know, this person doesn't respect my time. You don't have to like get mad about it. Just understand who they are, right? You just have to understand who they are. If that's what they do, that's what they do. So anyway, I hope this was like, it's sort of an interesting beginning to a long weekend. And I hope you guys have an amazing Easter. So let's kick off this with some affirmations before we go. And so we got to get in the right energy for this, especially if y'all are having big gatherings. Okay, here we go. Everybody breathe. I'm a channel of peace and well-being, and my need for peace is abundantly met. I unconditionally accept, love, and appreciate myself and who I am. I recognize and am grateful for the abundance that is constantly flowing into my life, which I can choose to allow or not. I feel with every breath a sense of peace and love. I help others by maintaining and tending to my connection with Source as much as possible. This well-being is accessible to me, even in a sea of uncertainty. At this moment, all is well. I'm able to liberate myself from my past and live with peace and serenity. I can see and appreciate all the beauty and abundance of the life around me. I am able to embrace love while letting go of fear. And I find peace with the soothing silence of my inner being. Everybody take a breath. Thank you guys. Thank you all for another awesome spiritual healthcare day. Day 142. Day 142. It's good to be here. It's good to see you all. Yeah, this is awesome. And we will do it again next week. Day 143 next week. So try that out. Try that. I'm curious to see what you guys do with all of that information, the vision board and stuff like that. So let me know. Let me know what happens. And yeah, have an incredible weekend. And don't forget to sign up to the newsletter on EntitySeeker.ca because there's going to be lots of stuff going out. Just saying, lots of stuff going out. And Marge is asking, when's Haunted Hospitals in the US? You know what? I don't know. I'm still waiting to hear when the release date is. I have to say the third season from what we have in Canada is bloody awesome. It's really cool. It's a strong season. We're coming in hardcore with it. It's really good. BGM did just a stellar job. So as soon as I hear a date for Travel Channel, bam, I will be letting you guys know immediately. I'll take a look today and see what I can find. So anyway, yeah, so that's the hopefully very, very soon. I know Travel Channel is usually not far behind TNE. So it should, I'm guessing in the next couple months here, at least a month. So let's hope. Crossing fingers. Okay. Bye everybody. Have a good weekend.